let's do our opening prayer and then off we go. O Great Spirit, Father, Sky, Mother Earth, the winds, the waters, my Father, my Mother, Atanaha, all that is. We thank you for our lives and we thank you for these good people. We thank you for all that we are and all that we are to become. We dedicate our time spent together and our relationships with one another to you. We ask that our suffering be ended and our pain be lifted to the love and to the peace that lay beyond. Aho, Amen, Namaste. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about some of my favorite topics. The first is why we hold emotions inside the physical body and how they can get stuck. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. The first, and it's a really important thing to understand, is that for most of humanity's history, hi Sarah, hi Purnima, for most of humanity's history, humanity was a spiritual body. We believed that we were a soul having a human experience. That's what all the religions taught, and science did not yet exist. With the birth of Newtonian physics and of modern day science about 200 to 300 years ago, we had this profound shift in consciousness from believing that we were spiritual beings to a lot of the world becoming atheist or becoming more scientifically orientated. And the belief became body identification, which meant we thought that we were a body having a human experience. And for a good long while, a lot of people just believed that we were a brain, right? And that our whole personality, identity, soul was about a brain, right? It's like we were nothing more than a mind and then dirt at the end of it. And this led to a massive shift. Hi, Claire. Hi, Ivy. This led to a massive shift in how we processed our emotions. Because before, when we went to process our emotions, we would process through prayer, we would process through journaling, we would process through shared community and religious ceremony. And after we started to act like emotions were inferior to reason, and society got stripped away of very important emotional rituals that allowed us to regulate cultural and individual grief, that allowed us to regulate and initiate transitions into different archetypes. For example, adolescence into adulthood, motherhood into matriarch. These are profound identity shifts, and they are emotional as well as spiritual and physical. And when these shifts in identity and embodiment are not being held properly by the collective consciousness, and we believe that we are a body, all of that starts to get packed into our organs, into our brains. And then people start to think that, beliefs are the problem, beliefs are creating the disease. The body was never a conduit for your mind. I'm going to say that again. The body was not designed as a conduit for your mind. The soul is supposed to hold your mind. Your body is supposed to hold your soul. Your soul, your superconscious, was what was always supposed to be processing all the emotions, all the experiences, and learning from those experiences. Right? But the body was never supposed to hold all that stuff. And when it does, right, like we start to get into the energy of like the body keeps score, and the DNA is having all of these generational layers worth of trauma. The body was never supposed to hold that. All of that comes from being body identified instead of spirit or soul identified, right? So the first spiritual awakening comes from realizing that you are not a body, you are a soul. And that's a very important awakening to have. Okay. It's the first layer of removing disease from the body. Many people have had instant and spontaneous healings just from really understanding that one awareness. The next level comes to understanding that emotions are not feelings. Emotions are images. And this is something we go really deep into in my medical intuitive mastermind, because your memories are not just 2D pictures, like when you watch a TV screen and you see the pictures flashing by. Your memories are full holographic experiences. They're no different than if you were to literally walk into another reality, and they play like that in your energy field and they create like that in your energy field. And what most people are doing is journeying back to a memory or a hologram, finding one specific belief or one specific emotion, trying their best to get it to go away or to erase it, and then coming back and not understanding why that doesn't work. And the reason that doesn't work is because number one, you don't actually understand the beliefs and the programs you're running in the first place. You never finish the memory, you never watch the movie. So it's like kind of never reading a book and not realizing that you don't understand the story, right? In order to understand the story, you must read the whole book. So you must allow that memory, that experience to actually play out in full for you to understand the programs, the beliefs, the decisions, the choices, the meanings that you gave as a result of that experience. And then from there, you can start to sort the difference between the meanings that you gave that resemble a sort of divine truth and the meanings that you created that are based on nothing except lies and illusions. And that's why, biblically speaking, it says, lean not on your own understanding, because so much of our emotional response to any situation in life is based on our own made up meanings, so many of which are illusions and are not true. And a lot of it is based on what we decided love was or what we decided love meant, which comes from trauma. So we're looking for what we think it is instead of allowing that divine imprint to run the show or to show us. And that's a big deal. That's not a superficial ask, to really sit with that book or with that hologram and learn the story, and then not to rewrite it on the level of the conscious mind, but to actually be able to reprogram the core beliefs and the emotions on the level of that super conscious mind working on the core wound. Right? And that's what we dive deep into when it comes to doing, the year medical mastermind program. But when it comes to why emotions get stuck in the body, it's because those meanings that we made that are lies and are not truths, right? So, for example, let's say you go through a difficult traumatic relationship with your father. So you decide that God betrayed you and that God cannot be trusted and life is hard and difficult. All of those are lies, right? The reality is your relationship with your father was difficult. Your relationship with your father was hard. Your father could not be trusted. And that got distorted. It got reverse engineered into God cannot be trusted. Why? Because God is a safe place and the father was not. Right? That's the nature of transference. It moves from the unsafe being to the safe place, whether that's God, whether that's your mum, whether that's your best friend, whatever it is, we take the feelings that it's not safe to have with the dangerous people and we move them to the safest place in our psyche because we need to feel in order to exist, right? In order to process. So it's important when we start looking at shifting emotions that we first have to look at what we internalized as truth and lies. And we have to be allowed to release the lies and embody the truth, right? Which is that no matter what happens between you and your parents, the divine always goes with you. Whether or not they thought you should be here, God knew you should be here. That's part of why you incarnated. Whether or not you remember why you chose the family you chose, there was an important part of your divine curriculum in that healing, and that it might be a lot more a lot more deep than the superficial answers we're given in our culture. The mother and father archetype are a lot deeper than let's heal your inner child. And they go into different karmic loops in different lifetimes. And we go into this inside and how to heal it inside the Akashic Records program that we run. But this is how emotions get stuck, because when we believe a lie, we can't make sense of it. And it makes our reality unsafe. And we stop trusting ourselves and we stop trusting in life itself. And when we stop trusting ourselves and we stop trusting life, we can't make a move. And we genuinely forget, often we don't understand about the law of attraction, the law of resonance, and how if we hold those holographic memories in our being, we're a vibrational match for those things, not to mention that we often still think those things are love, right? Um, so that's why it's so important, because without those lies dissolving, without you going, oh my God, that was never love. Control was never love. Criticism was never love. domination was never love, you're still going to think all those things are love. And then you're still going to attract the toxic relationships, and you're still going to do, things to your body that involve domination and control and power plays. Why? Because you think that's what love is. That's what's been programmed into the superconscious and the soul conscious, right? And the body can't process a lie. It knows it's not true. The body is designed for unconditional truth. And that's why the truth is so powerful, because it just cuts through and dissolves the lies. And it allows that deeper unconditional health and the reality of your soul, right, which is your unlimited power, your unlimited freedom, your unlimited abundance, to start to manifest and anchor in. But first, those lies have to be faced. They have to be dissolved. The truths have to be owned. They have to be embodied. And that is a profound thing. Emotions are not shallow. Emotions are deep. Most people think they have about 8. There's actually over 3,000 emotions, right? If you don't know that, I recommend you get Brené Brown's book, Atlas of the Heart, right? Most women are proficient in about 12 emotions. Most men are proficient in about 4 emotions, right? But how are you supposed to clear an emotion you can't even name? How do you master a meaning you don't even understand and you haven't been brave enough to face? And it's really difficult to not own the lesson and release yourself from being stuck. So the lesson is not that you chose wrong, whether it's the wrong partner or the wrong career, etc. The lesson is that you are choosing from what you believe you deserve, and what you believe you deserve is not good. Right? You can choose again and still choose the same partner, the same job, the same toxic situation a million times over. What has to change is your own self-image and your own deservability deep down at the core. Right? You have to know that you're worthy of unconditional health. You have to know that you're worthy of unconditional abundance. It is an embodiment experience. Worthiness is more than something somatic, right? It is literally the frequency and the vibration around it. So when you're asking, like, how do feelings get stuck? That's how, right? The other way is that you're around people who genuinely don't want to know how you feel. They don't care how you feel. And you just got tired of speaking. And that's very common in neglectful environments and abusive environments, whether that's work environments, marriages. It's really important, right, to kind of honor that. If you're allowing people in, if you're settling into that space where you're accepting that as just what is, right, then those feelings aren't going away just because you're dissociating from them or because you're ignoring them. They're still there. And I get that a lot from people when they say to me, I always know it's those people that are like in toxic environments, because they say to me, what's the point of sharing my feelings if nobody's going to care and nobody's going to listen and nobody's going to change? And the answer to that question is, you're not expressing your feelings to change other people. You're expressing your feelings to change your relationship with yourself and to keep a profound, trusting, loving relationship with yourself. It's not the other person you should be afraid of losing, it's you. If you constantly forget your feelings, if you constantly swallow them, if you constantly ignore them and dissociate them, you will get to a point where you no longer know where you're going. You no longer know what you like or don't like. You no longer know who you are. And I meet so many people who say that. They're like, I lost myself in motherhood. I lost myself in my work. I lost myself in my relationship. And the answer isn't that they lost themselves in any of those things. They lost themselves in the decision by decision process that they made to shut down their feelings, to make themselves not matter. Right? And that's why it's not just a forgiving other people process, it's a self-forgiveness process. And because the trust wasn't just lost with other people, you lost your trust in yourself. And trust is a fundamental thing. It's pretty obvious that your relationship with another person can't survive without trust. How do you think your relationship with yourself can survive without trust? Right? And your relationship to yourself is a direct line, a direct conduit to your relationship with God, to your relationship with other people. And if you're lost, if you're disconnected from yourself, from to thine own self be true to who you are, guess what? You're going to attract other people who are also lost, other people who also don't know where they're going or where they're coming from. Other people who are also disconnected from all that is because they become a mirror for where you've landed, even if that's not necessarily where you want to stay. Right? Oh, one second, guys. I have a mum message coming through. Sorry, my mum's asking about the baby. Right with you. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I try and do the mummy thing at the same time as the working thing. It's not always easy to flow. Okay, let me go into the questions and the angel readings, but hopefully my explanation made it clear why feelings get stuck, the difference between the lies and the truth that we believe, and started to get you to take a deeper look than I just wasn't allowed to feel my feelings into why. Why are those feelings not allowed to be felt? What will it transform in you? How will you change if you feel those feelings? What decisions will be different if those feelings are felt? And that's what we're really afraid of, is how our identity is going to shift, who we're going to be if we're no longer locked into those patterns of emotion. Okay, so first question. Maya's saying, hi Sky, may I have a scan? Been doing the meditation, but not seeing anything for myself. Okay, let me have a look. Okay, so they're showing me that you're not getting past, like there's literally like an energetic wall around you, and they want you to like imagine that you're like, pretend you're like a ghost, or like you've got no body, you're invisible, and you can just fly through the wall. Right? If it helps because you're not picking up anything, imagine there's a wall and then fly through the wall. And then once you fly through the wall, I want you to click your finger or clap your hands and go, what's the first thing I see, first thing that pops into my head, and then write it down quickly before you have a chance to analyze it or to silence it. Literally use speed and use like the image of flying through that wall because you have that guard up. The other important thing to realize is that not being able to do clear readings on yourself is directly connected to judgment and self criticism. People that are harder on themselves than they are on anybody else will struggle to do self healing and self scans, because accuracy in self healing and self scans, it literally comes from your capacity to see the pattern but not judge, and to be able to hold that person in love. That's where all healing comes from. So the harder you are on yourself, the harder it is to see yourself, right, energetically. The same thing is the harder you are on somebody else, the harder it is to see them energetically. Partly for your and their protection, but partly because you can't see the truth, right? You see a distorted version through the lens of judgment. So can we just unplug you from judging yourself and criticizing yourself and needing to fix yourself in order to love yourself? And let's shift it to, it's safe for me to love myself now. It's safe for me to see myself now. I'm worthy of love exactly as I am. I am enough. Okay, that's looking good. Hi, Summer. Summer's saying, hi, Sky. I need a reading about my current living situation. Moved into a near Airbnb that turned out to be extremely dirty and unsanitary. I want to move to Mexico for the coast/weather, but scared. I don't know what to do. Um, You want to bless the place that you're in. I've got Archangel Raphael coming in really strong. You want to bless the place that you're in. You want to send it unconditional love. And you want to give your angels or your higher power that fear. So let's take that moment for the people that are stuck in the freeze response of being scared. Let's just breathe it to Creator, right? It's just the freeze response. And you're just feeling stuck because you're in freeze. And the moment you let that fear go, your body will go back into rest, repair, renew, and the solutions will become obvious to you. Oh. Okay, Mona's saying, "Hi, Sky. I worked on Shemaya with my liver. Can you please do a scan for me? Thank you." Let me have a look. Mona, your liver looks a lot better to me. They're showing me your gut now. So basically it means that you've moved from power and like self power and divine power into like that relationship with your inner child and the emotions and God. Like, how do I tell the difference between my feelings and the highest truth? How do I tell the difference between my emotions and my trauma? How do I tell the difference between my emotions and my intuition? So let's bring in all those downloads for you, please, through all that is. Okay, and they're really, it's a lot of anger that's stuck inside your gut. So we're just going to take a minute to download you with how to process and release anger. And that it's safe to be in your power and it's safe to have those boundaries. Okay, Nettie P is saying, "Hi Sky, how come I have so much trouble with relationships? Thank you." Nettie, my love, like they're showing, I've got Archangel Shamuel coming in, who's like the angel of relationships. And what I'm getting really strong is you need a relationship with yourself. You haven't mastered self-love. Um, and it's that's the biggest issue is you're bringing in other people who don't like themselves, who don't know themselves because you're in that state. It's kind of what we touched on earlier on inside the live. Um, we're taught completely inaccurately that our soulmate will make all of our hurts better. And the reality is that it's insane to expect another person to be able to do that, right? Temporarily, okay. But as soon as the newness factor wears off, it's kind of like you would, it's crazy. It's an unconscious expectation, but we really have it. But imagine it in reverse. Imagine that your partner brought all of his emotional luggage and expected you to solve it, and you brought all of your emotional luggage and expected them to solve it. For starters, they don't have the pieces of the puzzle because they don't have your divine curriculum. They don't have your virtues. They don't have anything really. They don't have your DNA. They don't have your connection to all that is. They don't have your lifetimes. They don't have the blueprint for this, what we call like divine curriculum at all. And then we expect them to be able to solve it, not to mention to be able to regulate our emotional experience of it and our ability to embody it. It just keeps the relationship permanently stuck and unable to progress, right? So let's just take a minute and just release this deep panic that you are never going to find the person or that the trouble is with your relationships. And let's go back to like Course in Miracles. You think you have many problems, but really you only have one, your disconnection from God. There we go. Okay, that's looking better. Okay. Sarah saying, "Hi Sky, can I have a scan on my throat? It's been inflamed for a week now. I'm starting to be aware of a barrier between my heart and my throat. Is there a cycle that I'm closing or needing to close?" Okay, let me have a scan. Okay, so Sarah, there's an abandonment wound here that's coming through really strong that your Archangel Michael wants you to look at. You've got some nasty people around you who are using this wound to control you. And you are, I think you know that if you start speaking your truth and you start holding your boundaries, you're going to lose some people. And I've really got Archangel Michael saying, if you do not stand your ground, you're going to lose yourself. And I can feel like the full force of like that blue light around you, and him saying like to make space for real relationships, you have to be willing to let the false ones go. And the disconnection between the heart and the throat is that your heart knows what true love is, but your throat still believes from the wounded inner child that real love is silencing yourself, real love is sacrificing yourself, real love is disappearing so somebody else can feel big or be supported or exist. So let's release that from your throat, please. And let's flood that pink light of compassion from your heart up into your throat. And so it is. No, no cutting hair. Just put it up in a bun. Look, little Shagon. The magic of layers. Okay, Maria is saying, "Hi, Sky. Can you please help me open up my intuition? It's difficult to see or work with cards and to do telekinesis. I guess this is only the tip of the iceberg. Thank you." Well, okay. So just from tuning into you, the first thing your angels are asking me to do is to send you unconditional love. So let's start by just sending you unconditional love. Let's start there. Okay, so then I have Archangel Michael saying to me, this is a rejection wound, and it's around being afraid of being yourself. There we go. So let's just start letting him work on that. So they're saying that you're scared of listening to your angels and to your divine guidance because you're scared of listening to yourself. I'm really hearing like a pattern in childhood of like being told to listen to me by like a mom or a father figure, where you weren't allowed to really listen to your own voice or your own intuition or your own wants and desires. Okay, that's looking a lot better. So one of the exercises that we're doing inside um what came up inside the angel healing course, but we also did it inside the Akashic Records course, is one for like recognizing that psychic gifts need to be, if you don't have yours activated, they need to be opened, right? There's a reason you get Reiki attunements. So one of the things that we do is we give you attunements for clairsentience, clairaudience, clairvoyance, claircognizance, because if you've never had that, if you've never held that frequency, then you're going to be blocked, right? In coming up to it. Um, and you're not going to know how to hold it. But the other aspect of that is that it's a decision to open those doors. It's a two-way street. So you have to learn how to switch it on and switch it off. And that took me a good 6 months after I woke up spiritual to learn how to switch it off. Switching it on was the easy bit for me. Switching it off, not so easy. There we go. Do you feel more Downloads of the energy coming in. And the last thing they're saying is they want to work on your relationship with your personal power and with your divine power because you have really deep beliefs that it's not good to be powerful and that good people don't want power. And the reality is that power, much like money, is a magnifier of energy that's already there. So good people in power is a good thing. Good people wanting power is a good thing. There we go. It's important to have power, master power, be comfortable with power, because it's when you don't know how to do that that then the terrible things happen, right? Power is not an easy thing to hold. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a very important skill set. Okay, there we go. Arnolda saying, hi, Sky. You are flowing just greatly and showing that it is possible. I appreciate any messages. The country I was born into and Spain now or for the next stage of my life for health. Okay, let's tune into Arnolda. So the message that I'm getting from your angels, I've got Archangel Gabriel coming in really strong, and the message is momentum. It's like you're struggling to get momentum. Even when you actually start getting like real traction or really moving, you go into freeze and you let it all fall apart. It's like you have one big event or one big workshop, whatever, and then it like goes quiet because you don't know how to get momentum. So can we bring in this energy of momentum, please? Can we channel through the law of momentum so that you're able to create momentum and that you're able to find that tipping point where it's moving by itself and you're not constantly pushing it to keep it happening? There we go. Let's just release the fear of momentum, the fear of being out of control. And let's bring in that higher truth that God is in control. Oof, there we go. Okay, Azima saying, hi Sky, can you please scan and give me any messages about my business and situation? So Azima, I've got Archangel Shamuel, and there's a real energy of like stuckness. And he's really saying, I've got Archangel Zadkiel coming as well. And I've got the Lords of Karma, and they're saying, clear your business karma. Literally imagine like a karmic field around your business and start energetically clearing it until it's nice and clear. And then people that aren't supposed to be around it are going to fall away. And people who are supposed to be around are going to start coming in thick and fast, and opportunities are going to start coming in thick and fast. But clear your own karma, clear the business's karma is what I'm being shown. And then the next thing that I'm being shown really strong is take it seriously. And this is about self-belief. Like if you don't believe that you're going to make it, then you're going to subconsciously hold yourself back because you're going to get scared of failure. You're going to get scared of getting hurt. There's a real push energetically to like let yourself believe in yourself. There we go. And so it is. Okay. Okay. Go between wellness center. Good day, Sky. Can I please get a scan for my kidneys? Is there a cycle I'm closing or need to close? Can I get healing on my kidneys? Thank you so much. My love, this is about fear. I think you're working on anger, and the angels are showing me that you are not able to own how terrified you were, how afraid you were. It's about really breathing into that fear and giving your inner child permission to be afraid, because your kidneys are just, it's like they're where your adrenal glands sit, and you're scared. You're really scared. There we go. And you deserve to live in a place where you're safe. You deserve to live without being scared and walking on eggshells. So this is part of that blueprint of that lies that we kind of internalized through that original hologram. If you grew up walking on eggshells, if you believed that that's what you had to do to be safe, right? Then it's very hard to create real safety, which is where you get to be your authentic self and where other people get to be their authentic selves. Ooh, there we go. There we go. That's looking really good. Jennifer Morgan saying, "Hi, Jennifer. Being called here today to ask about moving forward. It seems vague, but this is what I keep hearing." Okay, let me have a look, Jen. So they're showing me that you're thinking that moving forward is about losing, like you're focusing on the loss that moving forward is going to take. And they're really showing me that they want you to flip the script. They want you to see moving forward as freedom, right? There's pain in moving forward, but there is suffering in staying stuck. Pain is non-negotiable part of life. Suffering is optional. And they're saying that you're staying stuck in suffering instead of taking the pain and moving forward with grace. Okay, I'm going to do our closing prayer here. Guys, we have Close Cart for Medical Intuitive on Wednesday, and we have lots of people jumping on. We have some people already in here that decided to join earlier on in August. This round is going to be on fire. So if you want to know how to do what I do, if you want to be able to heal people that you love and heal yourself and really be able to work with diseases and set your intuition on fire, drop me a DM, drop me an email. Let's have a conversation to see if this is a good fit for you. Let's do our closing prayer, and then I'll see you here tomorrow. O Great Spirit, Father Sky, Mother Earth, the winds, the waters, my Father, my Mother, Atanaha, all it is. We thank you for our lives, and we thank you for these good, good people. We thank you for all that we are and all that we are to become. We dedicate our time spent together and our relationships with one another to you. We ask that our suffering be ended and our pain be lifted to the love and to the peace that lay beyond. Aho, Amen, Namaste.